to know this platform. All right, we are live. It's a good thing I'm not Oprah yet because I can be late and nobody's gonna clown me. And if this lipstick is not working, that also doesn't much matter. And I'm just doing a quick share. Welcome everybody to the show. Okay. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Rebirth Experience with Coach K and friends and my lovely co-host, Charlena Anita.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So listen, I told you I have some random things on my mind. First of all, I Thursday was my last day of work until January 7th. Are you taking time off on the holidays? How
Uh,
long are you off?
no. I'm not taking. I took time off for my birthday. I have a lot of things planned for next year. So I'm, in this corporate world, you got to save PTO. So I have a lot of trips planned for next year. So I'm trying to ration out the PTO. But we do have the my husband's children and the grandbabies are coming out for about 5 days. So I'm really, really excited about that. So, and then of course, I work from home, so I'll still be here around them, but not as engaged as I would like. But I'm excited. Can't wait.
You know, I have unlimited PTO next year. I don't know if I told you that. I meant to close this for the lighting. We have unlimited PTO next year. And
So,
do you, I mean, can you grasp that? I'm going to
so the
stop my
thing,
camera for a hot second so I can close these blinds, but
so
I'm
can
still
you
here.
hear me though? You can still hear me,
Yep,
right?
I can still hear you.
So the thing the thing that bothers me about PTO and the rationing of PTO is like I just need to take the time off that I need to take off. And I'm still
Can I
gonna
live my adult life?
Yeah, I'm going to still manage my position and make sure that I'm not a burden to someone else. I'm going to strategically plan that. And I'm not even asking you to pay me for the certain time that I want to be off. Just let me take the time off and trust that I will manage. But then, I call myself a worker bee. And my husband, he always has the uh executive C-suite perspective. It just shut up, I don't want to hear that. And he's like, well, when you're hired, your position, the company plans for a certain amount of productivity per year, all that.
Tell him to go back to being retired.
I'm like,
Nobody wants to.
I'm not trying to hear that. Okay. I just want my time off. Okay. So anyway, so it is what it is. But yeah, looking back to your original question, I am looking forward to the grandbabies coming out. So we're actually not going to celebrate Christmas until New Year's Eve. That's when we'll do the whole opening of gifts. And I mean, he and
Oh,
I
because they're
are,
coming right after Christmas,
yeah,
right?
well, yeah, we're doing our little thing. But in terms of with the grandbabies, we'll open up all their gifts on New Year's Eve. So I'm
Mhm.
excited. I'm excited. And then, of course, my
Wow.
baby, she's going to be with her fiance and his family, and which is good. I think that's a good
Hmm.
place for her to be. So,
And you know what? That's the thing. Non-traditional holidays, I'm not doing anything traditional for Christmas at all. And I did have a moment in the store the other day. I don't know if I told you this, Charlena. Everything is about Christmas right now and family. And I've always, Christmas is my favorite holiday. It's my favorite time of year. It's been hard for me ever since my father passed away like 16 years ago. So shout out to people who have prolonged, grief around loved ones, and there's no time limit. You don't have to feel like other people feel. Everybody processes things differently. I think my mother did all the work for Christmas, and this it really frustrates her that I have mourned him to the degree that I have, and I felt guilty about that. And then I would like not share things with her, but we actually made a pact a year ago to stop talking about my father completely because it
of
was causing so much. He wasn't the same person to the two of us, and my mother couldn't
course, of
separate
course,
that
of course,
you
of
know and
course.
so I Yeah, and we got to talk about fathers and daughters one day, like just a whole chat about that. I mean, like that can go so far. We'd be totally off track if we did that today. But
That
there's
is episodes. And so
yes, that's true.
just let me just real quick little caveat here. I don't care who you are. I don't care how perfect you believe your parents were. Everybody has some shit when it comes to their parents. I don't
And
care
it's
who
normal.
that
That's the thing.
because they were flawed human beings themselves. And so there was something about their parenting that was not 100% correct. So anyway, so,
Always. But we expect that. And then we have these meltdowns
well,
in our 20s
well,
because we don't realize.
until you start looking at your parents as the flawed adults that they are, when you can move from mommy daddy relationships with your parents to adult and start looking at them as the adults that they are, then you can truly have a better understanding for maybe some of the challenges they had in raising you, maybe some of the deficits, and I think it can help you to move forward. But that's another episode. So, but yeah,
There's, yeah, I
yeah.
agree. And I think that I almost feel like I wish I would have told my children when you are an adult, you will not, you may take it or leave it. You will need to reparent yourself. Like
Mhm.
just approach it knowing that this is now your opportunity to reparent yourself. Yes.
Because when you
They
become an adult,
watching on YouTube. They did the best they could with the tools they had at the time. Absolutely.
yeah, exactly. And as we are, my thing is, man, I just hope my daughter doesn't have to spend too many hours on the couch because of how her mother is.
My kids
But
need
it,
a lot of therapy.
listen,
Look, we're gonna get through these hot topics, Charlene. Because listen, I also have to give um a nail update, okay? So because I showed my horrible nails last week with the first iteration of the press-ons, with like, here's how it started, the ones that were still there, here's how it's going. So first of all, I just want to say to all women who don't get their nails done, please start doing it. Now, this somebody still may never want to do it, but it has meant so much to me to spend intentional time post divorce, post being completely inundated with a full family and all of that. It's been intentional on my part to lean into being more feminine. I just made decisions to do things more feminine. When we talk about the daddy episode, I will talk about some common things I see with women who had, certain relationships with their father. Like I've always leaned more to the masculine side. I was doing things not even aware. Like if men were in the room, I always wanted to go be with the guys. Like I've never felt as much of a pull to hang with women. I've had to make intentional decisions to strengthen feminine connections. But anyway, my nails are a part of that. The solution I have now, and I think this stuff is in my mailbox, but I've been busy. I ordered some nails from Glamnetic, okay, and then I ordered a little scrubber thing from Amazon to file them down. All of this is to save what, $40, but that adds up. And the so I've got the nails coming, and Glamnetic also comes with a nail glue, but it goes on like polish. So it's
okay.
not that one where you drop the drops in there. And so this is, and the advantage is with the Glamnetic or using something that's less expensive, I can change my nails every 2 to 3 weeks because I want to. They have a remover, everything. So I don't love serving myself like this, but I want to try to make it a part of my like self-care routine. So I will have an update on the Glamnetic nails next Sunday. What do you do with your nails?
So interesting. I've been on a journey. I've been doing, gosh, I can't even tell you how long I've been doing my nails, but started off with the acrylics, the longer nails. I mean, you remember. But let me tell you what I'm doing now. And if you can see, they're short, right? Um, so
That's how I like mine.
I went from longer acrylics to um recently I went into the powder where they dip the nail in the polish.
Yeah, yeah, I've tried that.
That for a while, and now I'm just doing the gel color over my nail. But the interesting thing is, I just got them done yesterday, redone yesterday, and I was looking as the guy was doing them. I looked at before he put the color on. I looked at the natural color of my nails, and I was like, I'm already wearing them short, a natural
Mm-hmm.
length. I said, you know what? I'm going to try. Maybe next time I'll go colorless and just have the clear on and just see how that works for me. And then if I'm comfortable with that, then I may just start trying to do them my own. If I'm going to go with a clear, I can put a clear gel polish on myself and just save that money. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been a journey for me to go from the whole, everything nails to now moving more to more natural. So I like
And I,
that.
I totally forgot that I went through a whole phase where I was just doing a gel color over my nail. I
Mhm.
don't know what happened. I used to do that because I used to do a lot of things. When I was married, I just wasn't consistent. Like I would get my nails done, I would do the waxing, but I wasn't consistent with it.
Mhm.
And now it is like I'm robotic.
Mhm.
But I have a couple other things. Let's see here. Um, the why did I write down vacation hangover? I do feel like that. Well, because I said I'm off until the 7th. And I mention I have unlimited PTO next year? I just keep bragging to everyone I can think of.
You said
I'm
yeah,
so
that's the second time that you said that.
okay. I
You want to put
listen,
another word at the end of that. Like that's the second time you said that, but I love
Mitch. Okay, Mish. But you know what? I was like, as soon I'm literally when I got that email, I was like, I'm going to Thailand.
it.
I was like, they're not going to see me. They're going to be sorry about this rule. So, the thing is, somebody said it to me that the company they work for, which is actually a competitor, my company, that it's a trap. They know that you're way too busy with work to ever have that much time. You have to have a plan where you give somebody else, somebody else is doing your work while you're gone. And
Mhm.
I was like, well, I have 9 people working for me, so I'm not worried about that at all.
Mhm.
But what I am going to do, I can't do Thailand now because I have different financial goals that I'm just desperate to try to get better at that. And we're going to have an episode where somebody who's really better with money than us can come on and try to talk to us. But
Let me tell you
I'm
something.
not going to do that. I'm going to
I'm
do
gonna
more
add on
local
something.
trips.
So I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues, a younger lady at my center, and she was talking about buying another car. And her car is, I don't know, it may be 7, 8 years old. And so, we were talking about that, and it's a luxury car that she currently has, and she wants to buy another one. And I just told her over the years, and I think this might be a good segue into talking about the cost of a divorce. As I moved to just having one income, I had to look at money and decisions regarding money and finances and credit and all of those things, different a different light. And I was sharing with her, because I drive a very old car. My car is a 2010 Honda Accord that has been paid off for years, and I actually drive that with pride. Believe it or not, you wouldn't think so, but
I
believe it or not,
wouldn't have any pride.
because I told her, for me, and this is just for me right now,
Yeah,
like my bling is the fact that I'm saving for the car that I want and I will be paying cash for it. My bling is being debt free. My bling right now is my credit score. Like those are the things that I've worked for all of these years to be, in that position. So that's that's what I'm focused on. And that mindset changed for me, or I came to that mindset once I got divorced and I no longer had another income. So, I think
yeah.
that would be a nice segue into, I want us to officially get started because we're
I
15.
know. Well, and we're doing a very non-traditional episode today
Mhm.
too, because before you do that, the other random thing that I wanted to
Mhm.
say, I want to know first of all, do you watch the show Ultimatum on Netflix? Okay.
No,
All
no.
right. I
Mm.
one day we'll talk about that separately. But
Okay.
the concept is you're tired of dating forever. You bring this person to the
Right.
show
I
and
mean,
say you
a
make
few
an ultimatum, and then
yeah.
you have a trial
Mhm.
relate marriage, so to speak, where you
Oh.
move in with somebody else for 3 weeks.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
each get a new partner for 3 weeks, and then you come back together for another 3 weeks. And so I just really I need some therapy over this season three. I need somebody to talk to. So I need somebody to hold me. No, and the last other totally random. Nothing is related here. This is
Get
how
it
my
out.
brain works
Get
every
it
day. I now see why Harry and David got together, grew some pears, and charged $18 a pair. Okay, because my mother gave me a Harry and David tower for Christmas. I was telling her how I love these
very
gift
random.
towers. They're very random.
Very
I
random.
love gift towers. I love that when you go in the store and it's already all together. I don't care if it's from Walmart. I just love the gift baskets with assorted treasures.
Mhm.
And so the pears finally ripened to eat, and I mean they just like melt in the mouth. Hmm.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah, so that's my randomness. I am drinking
What
today.
are you drinking?
I'm drinking regular coffee. Well, I have an espresso pod in here and a coffee pod. So I have an espresso machine
Okay.
that has changed my life. I was spending a fortune in Starbucks, and I finally said, "This machine is 200 something dollars on Amazon, and it brings me great joy." And then I just buy the pods. Amazon often delivers me the pods the same day. But I did add a shot of Dominican rum that I brought back from the DR over the summer because I was like, "Why not? I'm on vacation."
Very good.
Okay. I ain't got nothing to do. So I
Very
have
good.
that.
Very
And again, that has the oatmeal cookie one, silk creamer, the Elmhurst eggnog,
good.
and
Okay.
a little bit of rum. So that's why I added rum. I was like, you're supposed to add rum to eggnog anyway. Why am I not doing that in the evening time? Okay, on my vacation. And so I put it in this coffee and it's very delicious. Now, I am concerned with this vacation hangover that after this, my body's gonna be like, are we taking a nap or are we about to clean the house on the espresso? I don't know. And then the other drink I have in my cheery Christmas Stanley that I forgot I even had in my cabinet. This is just a like lime club soda. I love flavorless. I love sparkling water, not that's unsweetened. And
Okay.
this is a lime, like lime sparkling water. Hmm.
Okay.
So that's what I'm having. What are you drinking?
So I went back to an old faithful because we're in the festive time of the year. This is eggnog, topped with heavy cream, very, very fattening, and also some cinnamon vanilla Baileys with ice.
See, I got to make a trip to the liquor store. That's my issue. I don't have some basics, and I don't really drink that much, even though we talk about it. So it all just sits here.
Mhm.
And so, but I don't even entertain anymore. I just have all this stuff. Really quickly. So just in terms of our show today, you have to drop at 12, and I'm going to stay on because for a little while longer because today's devotional. Let me tell you something, Charlene. It ties in with both topics that we have, and I'm going to pull our card and everything and kick us off officially. But we're talking today about the cost of divorce, and also how do you know when you should leave anything. I personally take the calendar year very seriously and think everybody should. Even for people who don't think that it matters to have any sort of year-end ritual or anything like that, most people still view their life in years.
Mhm.
2022 was this kind of year for me. 2023 was this kind of year for me. So why not be intentional about taking time this month to think about what has my year been about?
Mhm.
And then what am I hopeful for and focusing on next year? Ever since I stopped trying to do like a laundry list of resolutions and instead just have
Mhm.
some themes
Right.
around it, like whether it's one word or what are the things I'm focusing on, I've had a lot more success, and I don't feel as tied to specific outcomes in a
Oh,
specific way.
I,
It's more general.
right. I think it's not about, resolutions. I think it's about reflection, reflection
Yeah.
of the past year. I think as you mature, you do want to reflect. And the end of the year is a great time to do that. And then in the upcoming year, again, as I said, it's not about making resolutions because we know the majority of people, most of the resolutions that you make by February, they're out the door, right? But it's like the verse in the Bible that says, without a vision, the people perish. And so when you're going into a new year, if it is a great time to have a vision, to look towards the future and to at least be conscious of, okay, this is what I would like the year to look like for me. This is how what I would like to accomplish this year, or this is the theme for this upcoming year, or this is what I want to be intentional about in the upcoming year. I
Yeah.
is in it, and I think it's good to write those things down. And I say write, not that you have to put them in a book, but put them in your notes section, notes in your app, just
Yeah.
so that you can constantly have these reminders and be intentional about how you want to live your life. Because I think if you're not intentional about how you want to live your life, then life just happens to you.
The time is passing anyway. And so that's why, and I'm already off track, but that's why I took time when I went up to the mountains to theme a 10-year plan, thrive in 2035. Because now I've struggled with having more specific goals for myself. But now with me seeing that it's a 10-year plan, I can now think, okay, what are some of the just top level things I need to do in 2025 to get ready to thrive 10 years down the road. And so my goals are next year overall are more focus on my health again and more focus on my finances. And that's it. And I'm going to have very soft goals around that. I'm not going to make like, I want to lose 40 pounds or anything like that. I want to be healthier and balanced. And I'm going to write out intention statements and everything. And I want to offer to everybody probably towards the end of the month. I'd like to do a session either during this time or a separate live where we just get together and I hold that space for your planning. So you'll come on here and you will have your own notebook and materials, and we will just kind of be together. And if folks want to come into the room live, like be online, I can send the link and you can join there, and just to create the space for accountability to get some of that done. But let me share this. So, and then we're going to talk about this topic. When Charlena has to go, I'm going to close us out with a reading and do the breath work on that end because she has an appointment. But I just want you to know, Charlena, I said I wanted to talk about how do you know when you should leave something. And honey, just like the one for last Sunday was on point with the boundaries, the title of this for today, this is again from my mama, Ia, her devotional book, Until Today. Fantastic Christmas gift, by the way. Um, I will know peace when I take the time to experience the blessings of closure.
Okay.
So I thought, wow, how could this be about closure? And that's what I'd already written down. How do you know when it's time to leave something? So let me pull a card for us today, and then we will jump in with the time we have. Okay, 16, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And for those who don't know, just another reminder, these are not tarot cards, just inspiration, etc. You know, got to warn the church folks. What do we have? Ooh, pride. That's always a top. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. Hold on, because I want to see just what the little bit more is about that. You need to take time to honor and acknowledge who you are and what your soul has accomplished with your life thus far. You should look at your past soul choices and be mindful of how, through your positive actions, compassion, and understanding, You have made a better life for yourself and others. How have you changed the world in some little way? How have you shared insights with others? Reflect on what you have mastered. You should never underappreciate or underestimate yourself or your accomplishments. Now is the time for you to remember how brave you have been through your journey. Celebration is required. Humans tend to spend too much of their energy and time on negative emotions or what they have not done. This card signifies you should take rightful ownership of who you are and how you've shared your unique light with the world. It may also be a perfect time for you to look around and acknowledge those other souls who have also accomplished many great things and need to be reminded of them. So, wow, we always look at pride as such a negative thing, but then we don't know how to sing our own praises, especially women toot our own horns um, and I think that honestly, it's easy to tie that in with what we're talking about. But let's talk a little bit about the cost of divorce first, and then we'll talk about how you should know when you should leave something, because there are some people who are watching this that need to leave something. It could be a job, it could be a state, it could be a friendship, it could be the home that you're in is not where you need to be. And I think it's easy to leave something when you want to leave, but when you know that you need to leave and you are struggling to kind of force yourself out, that's a different story. But tell us about, like, what would you have done? Is there anything you would have done differently, Charlena, when you went through your divorce, if you had known the cost, and define what you meant by cost when you said you want to talk about the cost of divorce?
So I actually wrote some notes of some things.
Okay, okay.
I did. So let me just say this. I'm just gonna list them. I'm gonna list all of them, and then maybe we can break them down. So uh, obviously, it's going to be the impact if you have children, the impact to your children. Okay. So once they were in an intact home, and now they're going to be in a broken home, and that is going to totally disrupt their lives, disrupt their security. Uh, their life will never be the same, and there may be some trauma long term that's associated with that. And how do you handle that? How do you minimize or mitigate the impact of a divorce upon your children? I do have some ideas around that. I shared when I shared my story about my divorce. That I shared I throughout the process of my divorce, there was sort of a mantra that I carried, which was, um, you can have peace or position, but you can't have both. And what I meant by that is there are things that you may be entitled to do, rightfully um, feel that you're entitled to do, even based upon what your partner is doing during the process of divorce. There may be things that the court says that you legally are entitled to have, but what is the cost of that? Is it going to produce a long-term peaceful relationship with you and your ex? And there are certain things that, yes, they are your position and you are entitled to have or do, and you should definitely have and advocate for those things. But there are certain things where you can give up your position, and probably should give up your rightful position to have something or do something, because the desire that you have is long-term peace with your partner, especially when it comes to your relationship with your partner and how it's going to impact your children. So I think that
Mhm.
that's definitely something that you really have to give thought to, is how am I conducting myself during this process of divorce, and what is going to be the impact to my children and the long-term effect upon them, and the type of relationship that I want to be able to have with my ex. And again, sometimes that means putting aside our own feelings, our own hurt, our own anger, because we want to be able to have peace, not just for us in the relationship, but also for our children as well.
I feel like I woke up and chose violence when I went through my. I just, but listen, that's why the episode on your divorce is called "The Anatomy of a Loving Divorce." Um, because I feel like I chose peace over violence through the relationship a lot when I should have exercised my voice, and so. And I also think, Charlena, that there's so much that you shared with me around preparation and so much a person can do to prepare for the ending of something. But there's also, you have to leave space for just not knowing how you were going to feel
Mhm.
about certain things. I had no idea I would get divorced and spend an entire year crying, even though I
Mhm.
was happy. It was the weirdest feeling. I was so happy. I would wake up every day full of joy, smiling, and still do. I still wake up like it's all new, like my home is new and my life is new. I still feel very
Well, and
connected to
that's
the
another
newness.
cost. It is, you are, if you are initiating this, you are causing the death of something that was very important to you, something that you didn't
Mm,
go
I
in.
killed it.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
you know what the biggest thing I underestimated is exactly what you said, the kids. I did not give enough thought at all. I thought so much about how he would move on and I would, potentially see him with a new lover. I knew he would be involved almost immediately. I predicted that, but I just didn't think about my children enough and how they would really feel, how they would take it. And if I could add that, I would say have some resources already set up before you
Mhm,
tell your children. I would do that again. I would have already
mhm,
had a therapist for my son
mhm.
lined up to take him. Thank God he's doing okay. But I will tell you, Charlena, this is going to be the defining moment where he says, my childhood kind of ended a little bit right there,
Mhm,
and I had to grow up in that moment. I know that's what my son will say in
mhm.
10, 20 years, because even with his father leaving the home, I think he felt like suddenly he had to do more chores. He had some resentment around that. Things that his father used to take care of, now he has to do. And I told him, you don't have to be the man of the house here. I didn't want him to feel that kind of pressure. I remember someone who, her husband actually passed away, and her son was 16, and she said it was so harmful to him that people kept telling him, you're the man of the house.
Right.
I'm really
And you,
glad I'm saying that out loud and right here, even though that's not what we're talking about. Because don't put that pressure on a little boy.
mhm.
But my son has still matured massively. And now, when we're in the store together, which I'm going to start minimizing, he's like having a husband. Do you really need that, mom? You don't need that. You already have two of those. Last time you were here, you bought that. Mom, do you see that's $4 for that? Why would you buy that? I mean, he is all over me in the store about what I need to be doing, what I should not do. I told him if I wanted, I could get married again if I wanted to deal with, you know, all in my business.
Okay, so the next point is,
Yeah.
you have to realize when you were married, like, you had a person. Like, even if you felt like your spouse was like the sorriest of sorries, you still had a person. But once you choose divorce, it's all on you. Everything is all on you, especially the financial piece. That is huge. Perhaps a change in lifestyle because of that. Um, I know for me, I was used to just spending freely. I was used to, if it's cold, I'm just gonna crank the air, the crank the heat up. Like, it just, so many things that you don't really realize that other person does for you in terms of supporting how you live your life.
Hmm.
It's all on you. And just, you have to give thought to you have to give thought to these things. Like, consciously take the time to imagine, what is it going to be like if this person is not here to do this? If I'm out somewhere and it's 11 o'clock at night and I get a flat tire and my spare, whatever, you don't have that person. So when you think about doing it all on your own, just consciously think about what that's going to look like in your life. But at the same time, well, how do I handle that? Well, that's where you have to build your village. You have to have a village, create a village of people, that you have people that you can call on, that can help to fill some of that void. Won't necessarily fill all of it, but they can fill some of it. But the thing that is most important is that you need to be aware so it doesn't catch you off guard. The
Yeah.
and then
But
so I make.
Charlene, the only thing, I'm just going to butt in there and say that I think that financial fear keeps a lot of women in marriages. It really does. So I don't, I, again, we just want to say, even though we'll be talking about divorce a lot on the show, we want people to stay married. Like if there's a way that you can be there and still, and reach a place of joy, then that's definitely the option. I, though, am not a fan of people staying in toxic situations that are sucking the life out of them, because they're living in fear. It will always work out. It may be harder, but another thing my mama Ia says, it's not painful enough. That's why you're still there, or that's why
Mhm.
you're still doing certain things, because the pain has not
Mhm.
reached a level where it outweighs whatever
Mhm.
benefits you think you might be receiving from the relationship. But the financial piece does keep a lot of people in bondage. And there are people who split up and still in the same household talking about inflation. And that's why they
So,
can't
Cara,
move
let me tell you,
apart.
when I left, I know you've probably seen this on the internet or made commercials, whatever. But when I left, I remember I had rented a little small house and I was sleeping on an air mattress. I had a little lamp and I had my cell phone and my clothes. Like I left with just my clothes and one piece of artwork. And I basically said, you know what? All of the tangible things that I am losing, I can have those again one day. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing that was priceless to me was my peace and
Mm-hmm.
the life of me as
And the
a
freedom.
yes, not my physical life, but the life of who Charlena is as a woman and as a person. So there was no tangible anything that I walked away from that was worth that to me.
And
So
see, when I split the first time, I remember I got this apartment for me and my daughters, and I bought a red coffee machine, and I just laid on the floor in the living room and made myself a cup of coffee and stared out the window. Like, so many people can relate to that. I've actually had a guy tell me that he had peace. Like when the relationship ended and he moved on, his just to be, what people are running from, I think, is the energy that just was not right, that dynamic, and the overwhelming amount sometimes of faking and performing you end up having to do to keep a relationship going to a degree when you're actually dead inside. And you
mhm,
just can't say that yet, because the second time when we split, I um I knew this time I was done. Like I didn't do any sagey stuff or anything, but I had to change. I changed my entire master bedroom. I've got a new bed. I put it on the opposite wall. It looks nothing in here like it did before, and that helped me so much. Not having those memories in the stuff. He already did not have a lot of physical items that were his in the home. I would jokingly say, you packed up your Nintendo and left, right? Kind of thing. But the bedroom obviously was a shared space. And even though we didn't live here together that long, not even a year, I still needed new things. Whereas I have another girlfriend, she's been divorced like 10, 15 years. She still has that same bed. It doesn't bother her.
mhm,
I can't relate to that at all. I did not want to have any of those physical things around me. Oh, let me add in on the cost thing to the what's I gonna say about the financials? I spent terribly the whole first year after the divorce. I mean terribly. I didn't even I was disconnected from the fact that I didn't have that second income anymore. And even though I was the breadwinner, that second income had enabled me to have all my bills on auto pay,
mhm,
and just kind of like you said, I would spend without even thinking. What I
mhm,
should have been doing is saving. And that's what I want to encourage everyone to do, even if you're just thinking about leaving. Work on your credit, save your money, reduce your expenses while you're still there with that second income. And you're still making up your mind about your decision until the very last minute.
mhm,
So do what you can to channel away from the negative stuff that's happening and focus your energy on your preparing for your future, especially some saving, reducing your debts, that sort of thing. And I'm gonna turn this back over to you before I start rambling, Charlena. But I would not say anything to a partner until my decision was confirmed within myself, because I don't want to lose credibility by telling you and threatening you, and then I'm back again and telling you and threatening. That's one of the biggest mistakes I've made in the past in relationships in general. If you're walking around saying, I'm done, stop it. Go sit by yourself. Are you really done? But some people disagree and they feel like, hey, if you have to go back 3 and 4 times and that's your story, then that's your story. Um, okay. I was rambling and I know you
You
have
get to do
points
what's,
to
you
make.
get to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
This is a big one that I don't know if people give a lot of thought to this, but losing friends.
The cost of divorce. Yeah.
Yeah,
Losing. Yeah.
losing friends. You may, as a couple, you probably hang out a lot of couples, and unfortunately, other people on the outside looking in don't know all the specifics. Maybe sometimes they do, but it's very hard for them. They many times friends will need to feel like they need to choose, especially if you guys were couple friends, meaning it wasn't like you were really, really good friends with the man, or you were really, he was your dude, y'all were dudes, or that was your, girl, you guys were really, really close. If it was more just you
Hmm.
guys liked each other as couples, then when you're no longer a couple, that dynamic shift makes it very, very different from other couples who have related to you as a couple. And so don't be surprised if you lose friends. I know I feel like I pretty much I I think I kind of gave up the friends
Yeah,
because I
I was
just
just
felt,
going to say that. I was
yeah.
just going to say you were ready to let it all go. I mean,
Yeah,
which
I
is
mean,
different. But let me also add, Charlena, I think people do have to choose in most cases. And I'm not saying that they have to per se. Well,
it's for
I'll
their
rephrase that.
comfort.
I think people end up choosing. And
Right.
I don't think it's just for their comfort. I think it's just logistically difficult at times to maintain the same relationship with both parties, especially if they're not amicable. Because I've seen it happen in my friend circle. Now, in your situation, I was able to do it, but not without some abrasion to our friendship, which we'll
Mhm.
discuss later. But I think it's very challenging for those people to hold space on both sides because they almost have to figure out like whose version do I believe, whose version of events do I believe. And so yeah, you have to be prepared for that. And but honestly, by the time you make a decision to do something as serious as ending a marriage, you shouldn't care who you
I,
lose. You
right. Yeah.
should
I
I
didn't.
know you were
I
thinking
did.
that like
Yeah. I didn't. And I also felt like he needed that
yeah, that
support more
support
than
system.
I really
Yeah.
needed it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? It's okay. I wasn't even mad at
Yeah,
whoever.
that's how I
I just,
felt about my ex. I told a friend of mine, just invite him instead of me
Mhm.
because I feel like it will mean more to him and I could be home. I would be fine. I know you love me, you know, but we're not both gonna, be there. And one thing that did hurt me though was a birthday party that my ex and I were invited to, and we were told you can't bring your significant others because I guess the person was worried there could be some drama.
Mhm.
And I was offended by that. And I probably should have said that to the person, but I was offended by that. And I felt like I am in a relationship with someone who's love of my life type potential. I'm not getting ready to blow this up saying, "Oh, I'm going to this party. My ex is going to be there. You can't come." I'm not going to have those conversations. And I didn't feel like I wanted to disrespect that relationship. Like it's being diminished because it's not marriage. It's like,
Well,
oh,
I
just
no,
leave them.
I wouldn't take it that way. I can understand why the person that invited you to that event, put it out there. I maybe if they had sort of explained a little more, but they don't always know how um, just the type of emotions that are still
Right.
raw between the two parties. And, it's already raw between the two parties. But then if you start bringing in a significant other, you just don't know how each person is going to react. And when it's a social event that I'm trying to host and I want people to come and have a good time,
That's true.
I can't take that risk because I don't know what's going on with the two of you or how the two of you will feel or respond to seeing your ex-partner with somebody else. So I can't take that risk. So instead of taking that risk, the best thing for me to do is say, hey, you're welcome to come, but I would prefer if you not bring a significant other. But I probably would have explained it. So I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I guess it could be in the conversation. Now, I wasn't like, oh, let's never talk again. That's why I probably didn't even bring it up because it wasn't that important. And neither he nor I went, you know? So, um, I don't know, but I do think that that's a challenge people have to work out is
Mhm.
who they're going to be. And I think that the friends thing ends up lining up organically in terms of who they were probably vibing with the most throughout the relationship
Mhm.
itself. And but I have one of my friends who's really been challenged in that area.
So
Okay,
just
you're going to have to go soon, so I know you
yeah,
have
so
another
just be aware that that is a potential cost, and
cost.
you've got to be willing to pay that cost. So this is something that I spoke about in my episode as well. So when you choose to leave a marriage, you have to come and realize that you may be alone for the rest of your life.
You are scaring these people, Charlena.
But it's
Listen, it's unlikely that you will. Go ahead.
what right.
I don't
But no,
agree,
no,
but
no.
go ahead.
Well, we don't know that. But you need
Hmm.
to be prepared for that and be okay with that. I mean, if you decide you want to stay because you don't want to be if you decide to stay because you just don't want to be alone, that's your choice. But if you decide that you no longer want to be in your marriage, then these are the things that you need to take into consideration. And one of them is that you may not be able to find a partner. You may, I happen to be fortunate. I have an amazing husband and an amazing life, but I had to come to the conclusion that you may be alone for the rest of your life. And are you going to be okay with that? And if that's the case, what do you do? And so again, that's where I was like, all right, let me have my, let me find my people. Let me create my village of people that will be there for me. Um, so just don't let it catch you off guard. Now, in my marriage, like I wasn't leaving because there was another dude. And this is the other thing too. If you're leaving because there's somebody else that you think you may want to be with, that may
That
not
might
necessarily
not
come to
necessarily.
fruition either. So just realize that you may be alone and be by yourself, and you need to be okay with that. And you need to, yeah. Ooh, I'm trying to read that.
It's a possible. Now you
I
have your glasses on. It's a possibility, the reality.
okay,
Well, I'm going to
it's the
disagree with you.
possibility of the reality.
I'm
You're
going to
disagreeing
disagree with
what
you.
in terms of?
Um, I'm going to disagree with you, and from a higher level thinking that I believe I can have whatever it is I desire,
Mhm.
flat out. I believe that I can call towards me anything that I want. And when I'm ready to receive it, it will come my way, whether that's money or love or whatever. That's just where I'm at,
Mhm.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything
Mhm.
right now. I think that
But not everybody
I,
is at that place,
no,
and that's
I get it. So I'm
yeah.
going to try to explain it. I think you have to balance the fear. There are some people who, if they think about the prospect of being alone, they will not leave a situation. Again, it's not just we're talking about divorce, but even with a job, people are afraid to apply to a new job that could be double the salary because they have this fear of leaving what's known. So
Mhm.
there has to be an internal decision where you say, no matter what is in front of me, I can't stay here anymore. I can't
Mhm.
do this anymore, and trust the timing of your life and that everything is going to work out as it should. So I left my marriage for me, and he swore that I was doing something or whatever. But I left for me. I think that
Mhm.
when it comes down to it, you a lot of women, I think, if you've reached the end, you're not even thinking about being repartnered. You're just like, I just don't want to
Right.
do this anymore.
Right. Exactly. It's
So
right. It's
but
this
I
that
liked what you said though about visualizing him with someone else,
Right. And so that was
remarried,
right.
having another.
We're getting, yeah, we're getting
I
to,
know, because you're going to run
um,
out of time. And
yes.
yeah,
So no, it's not just a couple
I
more.
didn't explain my part
So
well, but it's fine.
no, you did. You talked about believing
Yeah, I just
that
believe
what you
that.
desire for
Yeah.
yourself come to fruition for you.
And,
And
and, and I
so
was prepared.
I am all in agreement with that. I just, but if for whatever reason
Right.
doesn't,
You
just
shouldn't be
those,
like, oh, it shouldn't be a grass is greener mentality. I will say
never,
that.
never.
You should not be thinking about leaving your relationship because you're going to find something better. That shouldn't be it at all. It should be about finding yourself, et cetera, et cetera. But that can't be you're not ready if that's kind of the thinking that you're still having, because you could end up being out there and maybe you did have something really good and you didn't appreciate it and you needed to be where you were. So I
Mhm,
don't think you should ever leave. I wasn't looking at any other grass. I just wanted to be in peace,
mhm,
and I was prepared to be by myself.
mhm. Same here. So the next thing, this is something that I shared with Cara, which was, if you're leaving for you and you're leaving for your peace, you need to understand that there's a possibility that your partner may connect with somebody else, may have someone in their life, may be very happy, may blow up, career wise, financial,
Yeah.
whatever, um, without you. And they could possibly, whatever it is that you felt maybe they weren't, or maybe you left because you felt like there were things that were lacking about them. What if they become everything that you thought they should have been or would have liked for them to be for you? What if that happens? You've got to be able to be okay with that, because again, yes, you're leaving for peace. You should be leaving for your peace. You should be leaving for yourself. And so it doesn't matter if they wind up with whomever, if they blow up to be whatever, you've got to be okay with that.
And I wrote down, but people stay because of the hope for change, though. It's a lot. That's the reason why, I was in something, for over 20 years, women who are there 30 years. You're not thinking that this person is never going to get better. We just expect that, especially as women, when they're very committed to being who they are. And that's why I feel like you have to be in touch with the truth. I wrote that down on what you said. So when you said, for example, if he does this or that or blows up, are you going to be okay? You have to be able to answer that question honestly within yourself. And that's why it shouldn't be rushed, because you might say, yeah, I'll be fine, but sit down. But this is your whole life. Sit
Mhm,
down with a blank piece of paper
mhm,
and write down, how are you really going to feel? The process of writing some of this stuff down will force you to think, and
mhm.
that will help you know if you're really ready or not.
Or
And and
if you should
if
or
you
not.
should, but in that
Right.
process, I wouldn't be sharing that with my partners, just my opinion, because it's not
Mhm,
that you're keeping a secret from them, but it's external validation, or there's a potential for manipulation, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody with narcissistic tendencies. I would not share that. This is my private inner work that I'm doing to come to my own decision. And within that, I could have checkpoints that say, get therapy, get him in therapy, like the things I'm going to try. But he doesn't need to know I have a hit list, that I got a plan. And you may need to put that in a locked part of your phone. I lived with somebody once who he used to clean everything. Like, he was such a deep cleaner. I used to have things that I wanted to hide, and I could never figure out where could I put this, and where he doesn't suddenly say everything in this drawer is going out today. I'd be like, doggone it, he's cleaning over there. So figure out where you can hide your plan somewhere where it can't be found. Because I did get busted. I told you that my ex-husband went in my phone and saw a video I sent a friend of mine telling her that I wanted to leave the marriage, and he woke me up at 3 a.m. like, are you divorcing me? I wasn't prepared to have that talk, so I lied,
Wow.
even though he'd already heard it for himself.
Wow.
And that was 4 years before it actually happened.
Okay,
I
a
love
couple
this
more.
comment.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, you're over time, Charlena,
We're at
but
54 minutes. We're good.
No, but
I'm
it's
gonna submit.
12:05 for
Let me
you.
let me finish these last two.
Okay.
One is the sharing of holidays. So if you have
Oh, for
kids
children.
for your children, there's not going to be any more. We're all here together, celebrating, and opening gifts on Christmas morning. You're going to have to be giving up your babies for very special
Mm, mm,
holidays.
mm, mm.
The other is just being having to see that person for the rest of your life at special events, whether it's a wedding, graduations, birth of babies, just, all of those things that are going to cause you to have to be in that space with that person. And that sort of goes back again to peace over position, making good decisions. Thank you.
Thank you for
Making
that.
good decisions about how you move through the divorce, because at the end of the day, this is not an easy decision to make. We don't want, first of all, first of all, if it if there's any way for you to save your marriage and have a healthy, thriving, loving marriage that is worthy of the name of marriage, that's what we desire for you. That's what we want you and your partner to work towards. But if you find yourself in a situation similar to mine or similar to Kara's, you can go back and you can listen to our stories that what brought us to our divorce. If you choose to make the decision to leave your marriage, it is my hope that you will weigh the cost of it and that you will make a decision that will be in the best interest, for all parties. So on that note, Cara, I am going to sign off. Thank you for our guests that have joined us today. Thank you for your comments. It is our desire that this message will help empower you and will give clarity to anyone who listens. And as Cara always says, please feel free to put comments in the comments section. And I just want to wish everybody, a Merry Christmas, happy holiday season, and until the next time that we connect. Okay, Miss Cara?
Yes, before you go, I added co-parenting to the topics, and don't go anybody if you're watching live because we're gonna switch it up for the last for another few minutes. But yes,
And
I
yeah,
think
let
you
me
definitely
say
need to talk
this.
about co-parenting. And then
Yeah,
when you said discussing with family and friends, I would not discuss my exit strategy with anybody. Maybe a therapist, if that's what you're talking about. Maybe a therapist or one other person. I That's a whole nother episode, how I struggle with people pleasing, but then it's not your decision anymore. If you're involving too many people and you make a decision based on what they're sharing, it's also showing that you don't trust yourself yet. And you're gonna need that to weather the storms that come after it's over. It's gonna be you waking up by yourself the next morning, not anybody who told you you should stay or go. And I also my mother says this thing that I love. If a woman wants to stay, this was when it comes to telling other people whether they should stay or leave a relationship. If a woman wants to stay, there's nothing you can say to make her leave. And if a woman wants to leave, there's nothing you can say to make her stay. And the same could be true for men. So I would say a person probably for that. If a person wants to stay in their relationship, they could be getting beat up every day. He could be cheating like crazy, or she could be cheating. They're going to stay. That's why I stopped. I don't have an opinion anymore on what anybody else chooses to do. I'm not the one who has to smell his breath every day. So if you want to do that, if you want, that's where you want to be, then that's up to you. But thank you, Charlena. And stay on, you guys. We're going to talk about closure, and a little bit more about how you should know when you're going to leave, when you need to leave somebody. Thank you, Raising the Frequency. You are giving me a lot of joy today. I'm getting a lot of joy from your interaction. I want to encourage you guys to share this link out. Go to my YouTube channel. I'm getting ready to go back in and do some cleanup over there and number the show episodes we've had so far, and encourage you to share that link out with anybody you think would benefit from this information. I'm not building an empire here. This is just my talent and gift that I'm offering to the world. So this is more of a hobby for me than anything else. And I love that I made that decision because I don't feel required to make it perfect. Which has freed me up. So this morning we had technical difficulties, and I'm just like, oh well, we'll move on and do this, just for the love of it. So I'm going to do a couple things. Just talk a little bit about how to know when you should leave, and then closure. And I have something I'm going to read with you guys, and then we're going to close with our breath work. So it's a very simple thing. You know, how do you know? How do you know when to leave? Um, you'll know, first of all. That's like the spoiler, but it does take time, and it's something that you should take time doing. Again, we talked a lot about divorce, but I'm talking about leaving anything. Some of you need to quit that job, and you should have been gone, and you know this. And then sometimes it is a relationship, sometimes it's a friendship. I posted on my social media, I think last week, that friendships can be toxic. Friendships can be very toxic, and there are things in places, some of you are in cities that you shouldn't be living in. You're in a neighborhood you shouldn't be in. And so you know, how do you know when you should leave? Well, first of all, I think it starts with the recognition that you need to leave. There's an initial recognition where you realize, I need to leave whatever it is I'm currently doing. That is the first step. Now we're talking about the timing, because what I think some of us do, especially if we're very emotionally reactive, as soon as we realize or we think we need to leave, we're done right then and there, whatever it is. You don't need to move like that. That's part of learning how to regulate ourselves emotionally. And as me, I can be a bit sporadic and impulsive at times, not as much as I too more than I would like to be. But it's really helpful if you take the time to first confirm, okay, this is not working, I know I'm going to leave. And it can be hard. I mean, for me, like, to have those feelings and not share it, really, really difficult. But me taking the time to learn how to go within, do my own thinking, processing, being supported by a therapist, really helped me with the timing itself. Because when I left my marriage, even though I was financially stable on my own, I had a ton of fear, mainly about my children. I just thought, oh, religiously, something terrible is going to befall my family. And I don't even, to be honest, even, 2 years later, I don't know why I was that afraid, but I had a lot of fear. And it wasn't around, I'm going to be lonely forever. I never have really had a challenge getting, if anything, I struggled to not get in a relationship. Um, on the other side. So I wasn't really worried about being alone. I think it was just the change because I've been there so long. So I'm not really sure, but um, how you know when you should leave has to be a decision that is 100% yours. You have to own it because you're the one that's going to have to live with it every day. And then you're also going to have to tell your divorce story, just like you told the story of how you got engaged or how you got married. You're going to be to someone, even if it's just to your children, you're going to need to be able to explain it. And sometimes you can leave a thing too soon, and etc. But what I'm encouraging is have those internal markers for yourself. And that's why I said write the plan down. The reason why I wouldn't tell the other person as well is because if you've reached a place where you're having those problems, I don't know. Even as I'm saying this, I'm backing it out. I might do it like with a therapist. And if I had to redo anything again, I think that the only other thing, because I feel like I tried everything to save my marriage, the only other thing I would have done is probably give some type of ultimatum, like, you need to do these following things if you want to save this marriage. I told him I might be done. I gave all the warnings, but I did not ever kind of drop the hammer and say, if you want to stay married to me, you must do these things. I must see these changes. I never really did that. I was much more passive in my approach and my demands. And so I would not recommend that at all. Okay, let's talk about closure, and then we're going to close out this episode. This is so important. So pay attention right in here. I'm going to come back next Sunday with a date, and I may do it on New Year's Eve. I don't know. I don't know who's bored enough to come come watch live on a New Year's Eve, but the end of the calendar year is a fantastic time to do everything from, they call it spring cleaning, but to do, you could do it in the wintertime, do some decluttering, clear things out to make room for next year. Next year needs a room of its own. um the time is passing anyway. We all think about how we framed up, everything from COVID, obviously, for 2020, to what was your 21. I think 21 we were all still in the, and 22 really, we were still in the trauma of that. 23, 24, how are you defining these years? Now, when you think about closing the year out, I would encourage you to really spend some time with your life. Like, sit down with paper and think about 2024. This year has, whoop, it's gone like that. I mean, like that. We always say time is flying, and I feel like there's like a universal clock that actually is ticking just a little bit faster. But what happened to you this year? What do you remember from this year? What are some key moments? What did you love and what was not so great? What were your key takeaways? I believe that we don't spend enough time processing our lives and what has occurred. And then we wonder why some of these patterns keep repeating themselves over and over again, because you're not managing your own life. You're just living in it. It's happening every day, but you're not actively taking control, you know? And I have a phrase that I love to repeat to myself. You waited a long time to be grown. I waited a long time to be an adult and to do my own thing. And yet now that I've reached that place, I'm not parenting myself very well. And I'm doing a decent job, but sometimes my bedtimes are awful. So I'm wishing sometimes that I had some parents to bang on the door and say, "Go to sleep." But at any rate, no matter what, you own your own life. There's only so much time in every day. There's only so many breaths you're going to take. And so I would encourage you to be very intentional about writing down your 2024, documenting it on any kind of paper you can find. I love to put like headphones in like this and listen to some meditative music or something to tune out all distractions and really be an active participant in my own thinking, and think through what happened this year that was good, bad, indifferent, etc. And then what am I clearing out so that I can make room for the new year? And that's going to require a certain level of closure. Um, Before I read the thought on closure, I want to say, for anybody who doesn't know this already, you are responsible for closure. No one owes you that. Um, there's no reason to reach out to somebody for some other conversation. When people say, "I didn't get closure," I feel like most people know this by now, but I just have to say it anyway for anybody who doesn't. There's something in us that naturally wants to have even more painful conversations because it's over, right? So, what are we talking about when we talk about closure? We're trying to dig everything up and rehash it. Closure is really, I think, when people use it the wrong way, it's really, you're really trying to get back in there. And that's what you're hoping from the conversation. If we're being honest, the person who's asking someone externally is seeking external closure. They're really hoping there's something different. You're waiting for that person to say something different. And I completely understand that, because I used to just wish with every conversation and every text I will hear something different, this time. And I remember that I used to say sometimes, just tell me something good, like I wanted like a compliment or something so bad. And I've learned you have to give those things to yourself, including closure. And then once you give it to yourself, you're not waiting anymore for somebody else to say something or do something, etc. You give closure to yourself. You give clarity to yourself. You create those things. You don't wait for this other person to say or do something that you've already been waiting 10 years for them to say or do that thing that they haven't done it. And if frankly, if you've been waiting 1 year, it's probably not going to happen. And if it does, maybe they'll circle the block and you won't have stayed so long that you have all this resentment built up towards them. So if you're, for example, not married, and you're in a dating relationship and it's not going the way that you wanted, like I mentioned on at the beginning of this show to Charlene, I asked her if she's watching the show Ultimatum on Netflix, where people kind of force their partner to make a decision. I don't think there's anything wrong with ultimatums. I could do a whole episode on that. You have a right to have what you want. And the ultimatum lets the person know this is a boundary for me. This is what I require. You can do it or not do it, because they're holding you hostage. They're giving you a take it or leave it ultimatum. I'm not going to marry you. Take it or leave it. It's the same thing. You have a right to do that. You just need to know the risks involved. And then also, how are you going to feel if the person agrees to your ultimatum, but they ain't really want to agree to your ultimatum? They just did it because you said so. Hmm. So sometimes it can be a sign that you're not really aligned. You don't really want the same things. I don't want someone who's agreeing to marry me because I'm going to leave the relationship if they don't. I don't want that. I would just break up with them, honestly, and not give them an ultimatum and say, I need to be free to live my life. If you decide that you want to create a life with me, come back, come back. But if you have that conversation after you've already drained the life out of that relationship, it's going to, now you have even more work to do if they do come back. So I say, leave things early. Like that first year, you should really be monitoring it. And we're going to have an episode on dating after divorce, because there's definitely some things that I would have done differently in terms of that. But very, very important to have hard conversations first with yourself and realize that you own the closure, you own the clarity, and you can create it on your own. And I'm going to give you a way to do that. Read this devotional, and then we're going to pull a self love card and go. Um, so, one of the things I love to do is burn stuff. And I'm not going to do this live this year, the burning part, but I think we may have an episode where I just hold space and maybe we have some music on or something, and you can just use that time to kind of start writing down everything that you need to let go of for this year. And then that will be something that you should burn. So what did you learn this year? What do you need to let go of? Those would be separate lists. And then for the list of what you're letting go of, you will burn that, and then you will take those ashes and put them away from your house somewhere, just as a symbol that I'm done with that. And that can be really, really helpful. All right, so I'm reading this, and again, this is okay. Reading this again, and this is from Iyanla's Until Today, daily devotions for spiritual growth and peace of mind. I can't recommend this enough. I really can't. Okay. Closure. Speaking on closure, I will know peace when I take the time to experience the blessings of closure. All great events cast a shadow before them, and so many of us get caught up in the shadow. How? We move on to something new without closure. We jump into something new before we understand the old. We think we can start a new relationship when we are still angry about the old relationship. We think we can find a new, better paying job when we are still upset about how we were treated on the old job. You cannot move forward into something bigger, better, brighter than what you had until you clear your feeling about what the old thing was, what you learned, and what you are taking with you. I didn't read this first, y'all. I'm getting this right along with you. Without closure, the bad stuff you had before is going to follow you. A shadow is cast by a coming event. The shadow is not the event itself. Some shadows are dark. They may frighten you. They also obscure your vision. Other shadows are bright, so bright, in fact, that they blind you to what is really going on. A bright shadow may lead you out of the darkness, but not provide you with a clear vision of where you are headed. When you attempt to leave where you are without closure, you will undoubtedly get lost in some kind of shadow. A shadow in your mind, a shadow in your heart. The only way to ensure that you are standing squarely in a new event and not the shadow is to make the effort to understand what you are leaving, why you are leaving, what you have learned, and how you plan to make the next event different. Until today, you may have felt compelled to move on without forethought or closure. Just for today, be still. Make no decisions. Give yourself some downtime. When you feel ready to move forward, ask the Holy Spirit to show you where and how to move into an eventful new beginning. Today, I am devoted to bringing closure to those experiences that could propel me into a shadow. Mm, yep. And the shadow is the things that are in hiding, right? I absolutely loved this. This was a good thought. All right. In closing, I am going to pull a self love card here. Card number 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's a gratitude card. I am grateful for all the wonderful things in my world. And this side says, I express gratitude. It says universe. When I see that, I say God, just because I don't know who the universe is. Often knowing that my thoughts are heard and appreciated. All right. So listen, gratitude can also apply to clarity of mind. If you're thinking about closure, if you're thinking about the cost of the closure, all of that is part of that process. But I just want you to remember, you can create closure for yourself. You don't have to have somebody else there. Most of the time in these situations, y'all, whether it's a relationship or a job, we already know what we need to do. And we really just have to do some inner work around the fear that we're feeling about the decision that we already know needs to be made. Write it down. What are you afraid of? What are all the things that could happen if you make this massive change? And then what can you against those things? You're never going to have all of the answers, but you can at least get rid of some of the anxiety by starting to release from your body some of the fears and concerns that you have around making it a major shift. All right, we're going to get ready for our breath work. Thank you, raising the frequency. You kept me going. Make sure you share and come back. I don't know if we know each other for real or if you just happened upon the show, but I'm very glad to have you here. And so, you know what, this time, without Charlena here and I don't feel as rushed, we're going to do 3 breaths. I'm going to count you in on the first one, and then I'm going to do my own 2 breaths so that I can also get the same relaxation in my nervous system. And so I like to make sure that I'm sitting very upright on the pelvic bone and that my back is straight. It just helps the flow of the energy in your body, which is another topic for another day, but basically keeping everything flowing. And we're going to do a count of four through the nose. You're going to breathe through your nose. One, two, three, four. Hold for four. And then you will release for four through the mouth, slowly through the mouth. All right. And then the next two you will do on your own. After each breath, you always want to take time to calm and relax yourself. Um, I would encourage you to do this every day for yourself. And it will help you so much over time, especially if you're not used to any kind of breath work, to just calm down. Just calm down and notice that your breathing is erratic and crazy. It just can help you in so many ways. So get comfy, get settled in, but make sure your spine is erect and just relax. My hands right now are just resting on my knees. Anything that you're feeling is fine. I feel slightly chilly. I'm thinking about that. I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just noticing it. One of the beauties of breath work is that it really helps you to listen to your body. What's going on inside my body right now? How am I feeling? So many folks don't even think about how am I actually feeling. We're just rushing from one thing to the next. Don't do that. Don't do that. Take some time every day to do what's called checking in with yourself. How am I feeling? Slow down, okay? So just relax right now as you're listening to my voice. Relax. Someone's belly is tight. You need to relax your belly. You need to relax your shoulders. Just let yourself go. No one needs anything from you. Just be here right now in this moment. Your thoughts are all over the place. You're thinking about all the things you need to do if you after you stop listening to me. But right now, I just want you to be right here. Just keep bringing yourself right here and just focus on the fact that you're breathing, gratitude. You have breaths that someone else wishes they had more of. And so we're very grateful for that. Get your body relaxed, and we're going to inhale through the nose. One, two, three, four. Hold the breath. Two, three, four, and release slowly through pursed lips. And hopefully your eyelids are closed. I didn't remember to mention that. But just relax. When you are doing that exhale, take your time. Whistling lips, that's a term that's often used. What helps you, especially if you have issues with anxiety attacks, um, panic attacks, is to be so intentional on controlling that exhale. It will be challenging at first, but it gets easier and it creates such a sense of calm in your body. And when there's no reason to panic, you don't want your body panicking and thinking that there's a problem to solve when there's not. So this can help your health out tremendously. All right, two more breaths we're doing. And this time, I will say we're inhaling, but I'm not going to count. Do your own head count so that I can also enjoy the benefits of these two breaths. And I'm just relaxing myself. Just preparing to inhale now. All right, and we are inhaling. And relax. And relax. And let's inhale our last breath. Count of four, hold for four, and release. Very good. And when you feel ready, go ahead and open those eyelids and come back. Hmm. All right. I always feel good. And every time I lead other people through breath work, when we're done, like everything is calm. I started doing breath work just loosely, not knowing what I was doing, maybe like a year before COVID. That's when I started listening to meditations on the advice of a friend. And then all during COVID, I would go to sleep to different meditations on YouTube or frequency music. And I do a lot of those things. And one day we'll have an episode where I will explain more about ways to calm yourself down and bring yourself to a place of calm. But I encourage you to tap into that breath work anytime. You can sit in your car and do it. You can you can do it in the bathroom. Okay. If you live with a lot of people, go in there for tough conversations. Always do breath work. Always do breath work to relax yourself, ground yourself. Do it every day so that it starts to take over. It becomes embedded more so in the essence of who you are and isn't something that you just spray on like cologne every time you have a problem. My bestie tells me that all the time. So, listen, I thank you guys so much for your time today. Please comment if you watch the replay, just so I know, somebody's out there. Share any thoughts, reflections you have, any suggestions on other topics that you would like to see. We will have other speakers who will be hopping on and joining us soon in the coming months. And I'm very committed to keeping this going every single Sunday for the next 12 months and just, seeing what the Spirit does. We'll see what happens from there. Thank you so much for your time. Go get busy creating a wonderful day for yourself. Start working on your closure list, y'all. If I had the license to some music, it would be playing right now. I got to figure out how to do that. But start working on your closure list. What do you need to close out for 2024? Start writing that down. What needs to go? What needs to go so that you can make room for everything? 2025 is bringing its own stuff. It's bringing its own problems. It's bringing its own blessings. So there's some problems you need to push out this year because there's new problems coming, okay? Or unpreferred experiences, another term my spiritual mama uses. There's unpreferred experiences coming next year. You don't want them on top of all the unpreferred stuff that was already happening. So make some room for that and then make some room for blessings that will come along with it, because with every challenge there comes a blessing as well. So have a great rest of the day, everybody.